Welcome to Grad Connect. My name is Kush Rawal, and today I'm in conversation with Jonathan, who has also enrolled as a GradRight ambassador representing the University of Limerick. Jonathan, please could you introduce yourself?
Right, hi, thanks for having me, Kush. Right, so like you mentioned, I'm finishing off my master's in business analytics from the University of Limerick right now. I actually jumped straight into the program after finishing my BTech in instrumentation from VIT Pune. And yeah, I do a little bit of media work and a little tutoring on the side as well.
Thank you for the introduction. So, we'll be talking today about Jonathan's journey to the University of Limerick and grab some insights about the university. Thank you, Jonathan, for taking time out to help Indian students with their journey to masters abroad. So, Jonathan, what led to the thought of pursuing a master's degree in business analytics?
Right, so I was actually introduced to data science in the third year of my undergrad degree. And it was also very project focused. So the end goal of literally every subject, every semester was not only to apply data science, but also to simplify solutions into measurable insights. And when I looked into it, this is actually a really good fit for the business analytics program as well. So that's essentially how I got into it.
So, like when you had decided what field you want to pursue your master's, so how did you go with shortlisting the country and the university you wanted to go into?
All right. Well, I mainly had to refer to a lot of friends and family, and with tech, yeah, there were quite a few options that stood out. I was aiming for Europe because I was honestly impressed by their work ethic. That would be the main takeaway. And Ireland just happened to, well, tick all these boxes. So after that, it was just narrowing down from universities over there.
Okay. So, what process did you follow to make your resume strong to get your admissions over here?
Right. So one thing I like about applying to universities abroad is they don't just consider exam scores, they consider your entire, well, profile, as we say.
Right.
So you've got, well, my CV was the standard. Since I went directly after my BTech, it was just loaded with projects and a couple of internships since I had no formal work experience. And my statement of purpose as well, I worked really hard on that. I really had to convince them and make a strong case for myself as to why I wanted to more or less switch my field and why Ireland, why UL in particular. So yeah, I really focused on those two things. And
Yeah.
since I was preparing during like right in the middle of the lockdown, it meant consultancy services were actually shut down at the moment. But that was kind of a double-edged sword because online, there was, well, a boom in resources. So I actually checked on lots of places from LinkedIn to Reddit and got a lot of help, a lot of feedback on my profile in general.
Okay. So, like, how many universities did you apply into, and how many did you got into?
Honestly, I narrowed it down to either UL or UCC, which is University College Cork.
Right.
And honestly, I just applied to UL, and before I could actually get my application sorted for UCC, I got into UL. So I didn't really consider UCC after that. But
Okay.
they was very close between these two.
Okay. So, what was your application process like for applying to University of Limerick?
It was actually really simple, really straightforward. It was just a couple of forms to fill out online and then, well, just hopping over to the visa office. They make it really simple and the staff are very friendly. They will entertain literally anything because they know it's a new process for us and they're very, very supportive.
Okay. So what do you think made you stand out to get selected for the University of Limerick?
Well, I would say I was at maybe a slight disadvantage because I didn't have any work experience.
Right.
But I would say my profile, and by profile, I mean all my projects, um, all of that really stood out because I went the extra mile to basically make a good GitHub profile, my own website. I had a few internships as well, a little work experience. But I'd say it's mainly just that and yeah, the statement of purpose. That's about it.
So, did you get any scholarship? And if you could highlight what's the process of getting a scholarship?
Right. So at the time of my application, UL actually takes care of the entire process automatically. So I believe they formally state that candidates that deserve it would get up to 4,000 euros in scholarships automatically. There's no separate procedure. But I do believe there are government scholarships available as well.
Uh-huh.
So those are always an option to look into as well.
Okay. So diving towards your university life, how diverse is your batch and what backgrounds do other students have?
I'd say there was a good split of international and local students, and there was a very strong Erasmus presence as well. Um, there were always kids from other European countries as well, but it was a good mix. You could definitely find your own community to hang out with, and but you could always, I mean, there wasn't any, no one dominated as such. It was a really healthy mix.
So, considering their undergrad degrees, like everybody, like what background did other students have in their undergrad?
Well, in my program, it was a good mix of well, students from business and from computer science backgrounds, which honestly, that is what the course is targeted at. Um, so I will admit, yeah, from looking at the Indian students, a lot of them did have more technical backgrounds compared to business backgrounds. But I'd say it was a healthy mix of the two. It was a good mix of people who knew their way around pretty much everything.
Right.
Um, but at the same time, there are people who are completely new to a few topics. It's very, it's not restricted at all. There's no gatekeeping at all.
Hmm.
It's designed as long as you've got the basics nailed, you can come in and you'll be totally fine in the course.
That's great. So, what is the teaching methodology like and how different is it from India? And if you could tell about the professors at UL.
Right. Well, the teaching methodology is, yeah, it's vastly different compared to what we see in India. Um, it's more engaging for sure. This every single class, it feels like a combination of a teacher who wants to teach and students that want to be there.
Right.
No one's just coming and attending and well sitting just for attendance. The teachers are also, all the professors are in charge of their own syllabus, so they decide how many exams you give, what type of exams you give, or whether it's all assignments. And because of that, they're very flexible and they're very understanding, because they know there's a lot of things that come up. So they're very relaxed with pushing around dates for assignments or offering advice whenever it's in their whenever they're capable of doing so. So yeah, they're really, really supportive basically.
Can you tell me like how intense is the course and like are you able to manage a part-time job as well along with it?
Yeah, so the course was honestly pretty good. It wasn't the kind where no one would actually stress out. I'd
Okay.
say everyone could manage the course along with activities as well as their part times. They could maintain a healthy balance basically. No one was really putting more than the usual, let's say 20-ish hours a week of studying. And yeah, it was a good balance. It wasn't too strong, but at the same time, there were things that would actually make you think. It wasn't something that you could just coast through.
Right. That's nice because people like student international students need to manage a part-time job as well for their finances. So, can you like throw some light on the recruitment journey and which companies or fields do students generally get placed into, and what are like the average salary expectations?
All right, I'll start with the average salary expectations because I do get that a lot. I've noticed that over here, the salary depends a lot on your years of experience.
Right.
So me being a fresher, I'm looking at salaries of around 65,000 euros a year. But I do have classmates who have 8 to 10 years of experience, and they are getting offers that go up to 6 digits. So it's highly dependent on your experience.
Hmm.
Yeah, and as far as the recruitment journey goes, the concept of on-campus placement doesn't exist over here. Um, the university, when you say like, yeah, does the university help you? Honestly, having the university's name on your resume is all the help you're ever going to need. Because UL especially is very reputed for all fields related to computer science, honestly. But it's the usual process that you follow outside of a college. So you apply online or you actually go up to companies, go for interviews.
Right.
Yeah, but they definitely they value the university name basically.
And which companies generally come and people get placed into?
Um, it's a decent mix. There are quite a few startups as well, but there are a lot of big name tech companies in Ireland as well. So you've got pretty much the big four, the big five.
Right.
You've got everything from Intel to Amazon to Microsoft. All the big names are there, but there's also plenty of smaller companies that are really good opportunities to start up as well.
Okay, okay. That's nice. And how is the study life balance, like managing studies, managing part-time? So, like, do you get to enjoy some life as well, or till you get a job, it's just study and part-time?
Oh no, it's very comfortable, it's very manageable. So I mentioned how I really admired the work ethic in Europe, and that applies to studying and working over here as well. So even if you've got a part-time job and well, you've got the course to deal with, you still will definitely have time, free time just yeah, just to like hang out, meet your friends, do whatever. And the university does help as well. There are a lot of activities that they provide and conduct actually. So I'd say not only does the university make sure you have free time, they make sure you have things to do in your free time as well.
And what are like the average living expenses for a student for a month over there?
I'd say your biggest thing would be rent, which can go from 450 to 700 euro a month.
Hmm.
And then you can add 30 to 50 per month, depending on utilities and groceries.
Okay,
Yeah, I do want to add on though that this is very dependent on the individual.
right, right.
So 30 to 50 for me was fine because I never ate out and I'm not really a fan of clubs. And I've noticed those are mainly the two biggest cost sinks for students whenever they leave.
Right.
Yes, that's just 30 to 50 for me basically.
Okay. So, can you tell me a few things you love about the University of Limerick and a few things you don't like?
Ooh, okay then. Um, so if I had to pick my favorite few things, well, there's just no one thing. It's definitely a tiny list.
Right.
Um, to summarize, I'd say the university genuinely makes you feel welcome
Mm-hmm.
because they have so many tiny little things, just small things that just add up. They sorted us out with SIM cards and power banks when we first arrived. Um, the way they took, they organize tutoring sessions between us and PhD students. They have a lot of multicultural programs. I believe this academic year was the first time they celebrated Holi on campus.
Nice.
Um, Little things like organizing student breakfasts before big exams or providing COVID testing kits to the kids who are heading home just before, I mean, after the exams, but for the winter break. It's all these tiny things that all come together and really make you feel like they appreciate you being there. And if I had to pick something, like I'm really nitpicking here, but every student at UL would agree with me that the main building is extremely difficult to navigate. Um, it might seem like a little silly right now, but that building is a maze. It's been built over a few years over a slope, I believe, and it is everyone has spent at least an hour lost in that building over the year.
So, if you could go back in time, do you feel you could have done a few things differently, or do you feel this is the right path for you?
Honestly, yeah, If I could, I mean, I think the biggest thing was I would play around with the idea of going maybe a year late because as much fun as it was, I do know that I missed out on quite a few things due to COVID. But that aside, like no, if I had the chance, like maybe I'd just I'd live out the same thing, maybe in a different order, but it's literally it was just amazing. The bar is like really high right now.
That's amazing. And any last advice for the students who want to pursue a master's at UL?
Um, Honestly, I feel like this is good advice for anyone finishing up their education in general. But if you haven't already, I'd say get out of your comfort zone and network as much as you can. UL provides a lot of opportunities for networking, and it is unbelievable how unfair the advantage is when you have a solid network when it comes to literally anything later in life.
So networking is the key.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you for the advice. Thank you, Jonathan. I know a lot of Indians will benefit from the insights you have shared today. It was a wonderful experience talking to you, and I wish you all the best for your journey ahead.
Yeah, thanks for having me.